So, a lot of people in the tabletop role playing game space believe that Dungeons and Dragons is not good for horror games. And while I do definitely agree that the mechanics don't reinforce a horror kind of vibe all the time, it can work extremely well in Dungeons and Dragons. Most of the best games that I've run have been horrors. And I think that there is a big reason why a lot of people don't think that it suits that you can just make a couple of little adjustments to make it suit well. And the biggest problem that a lot of people have with Dungeons and Dragons as a way of playing a horror game is that your characters, the player characters, are very strong, they're very capable, and their whole thing is being able to fight and defeat monsters or whatever kind of villain is in their way. And so, it can be hard to be afraid of the monster if your players are able to beat them. But we have challenge ratings, we have a lot of different things. There are ways to make sure that your players can't beat them. So, my biggest piece of advice when it comes to playing Dungeons and Dragons, running it as a horror game, is to really, really foreshadow the threat and to make sure that it's a threat that they cannot go up against. For example, goblins. Goblins are easy. They're baby's first monster. They're the first thing that you're ever going to defeat in a lot of different games, and they're small and they're not that threatening. But even if a group of 4 adventurers at level 1 can very easily beat a group of like 5 goblins, they can't beat a group of 500 goblins. And so the big change, I think, in running a regular adventure action game versus a horror game is the end goal, the win condition. In most D&D, you win when you have beaten the bad guy. I think that a great way to change horror, to change D&D to play in a horror way, is to change the win condition from you beat the bad guy to you survived. You encounter these goblins in the woods, they capture you, they're preparing to sacrifice you and then eat your bones and all of that, and you manage to sneak away in the dead of night, nearly getting caught 100 different times, and that kind of thing. You go up against some grand monster, a gigantic Cthulhu monster, and you manage to evade its notice as it melts the faces of all of the other adventurers that were with you. Customize it to whatever your game is. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than just that, but really just changing the expectations from we got to beat this guy to we got to get out of here, I think is a great way to play D&D for horror.